What if I told you that within your lifetime, not your grandchildren's lifetime, not some distant science fiction future, but within the span of years you are actively living right now, the concept of work as you know it will cease to exist, not evolve, not shift, not restructure, disappear, not the desire to create, not the hunger to build, not the human need to contribute something meaningful to the world around you. Those are eternal. Those are written into our DNA at a level no machine can touch. But the job, the transaction, the arrangement where you sell 40, 50, 60 hours of your week to an organization in exchange for the money you need to survive, that arrangement is ending. Faster than any government is prepared to admit, faster than any university curriculum has been updated to address, faster than most people are willing to believe until the moment it is already too late to prepare. Elon Musk has said it plainly, publicly, repeatedly, with the kind of calm that is somehow more terrifying than alarm. There will come a point where no job is needed. AI will be able to do everything. Everything, not most things. Not the complicated things. Not the creative things or the human things. Or the things that require a soul. Everything, that is the word he used, and he is not given to exaggeration. So the question is not whether this is coming. The question, the only question that matters right now, is whether you are ready for what comes next. Are you? Her name is Sarah, 34 years old, a paralegal at a mid-sized law firm in Chicago, 11 years of experience. A woman who built her entire professional identity on her ability to research case law, draft documents, prepare briefs, and navigate the intricate procedural machinery of the American legal system with a speed and accuracy that made her genuinely indispensable. She was not the kind of person who worried about her job. She had seen other industries disrupted. She had watched the headlines about automation and AI with the mild concern of someone observing a storm from behind glass, close enough to see it, far enough to feel safe. Then one Tuesday morning, her firm introduced a new AI legal research tool. Her managing partner called it a productivity enhancer, a force multiplier, a way to serve clients better and faster than ever before. Within 4 months, the tool was doing in minutes what had taken Sarah and her colleagues entire days. Within 8 months, the firm had not renewed 2 paralegal contracts. Within a year, Sarah was sitting across from a partner who told her, with genuine regret in his voice, that her role had been restructured, that the firm was moving in a new direction, that her work had been exceptional and her contribution was valued, and that, unfortunately, the position no longer existed in its current form. She drove home in silence. She sat in her driveway for 40 minutes, without going inside. 11 years, a career she had built with discipline and dedication and genuine love for the work, gone. Not because she had failed, not because the economy had collapsed, not because her firm was struggling, because a machine had learned to do what she did, and it did not need a salary. It did not need benefits. It did not need a parking space or a performance review or a birthday card from the team. Sarah is not a cautionary tale. She is a preview. She is the first page of a story that is going to be written in every industry, in every city, in every corner of the global economy over the next decade. And the people who treat her story as a distant tragedy rather than an urgent mirror will find themselves sitting in their own driveways, in their own silence, wondering how they did not see it coming. Let me describe the world that is arriving. Not the sensationalized version, not the dystopian science fiction, the actual documented, already in motion reality of what is unfolding around us right now. Goldman Sachs published a report estimating that generative AI could automate tasks equivalent to 300 million full-time jobs globally. 300 million. That is not a rounding error. That is not a margin of uncertainty. That is a civilization-level disruption being described in the dry, careful language of financial analysis by people whose job is to be accurate about these things. McKinsey estimates that up to 30% of current work activities could be automated by the mid-2030s. The World Economic Forum projects that technology will displace 85 million jobs by 2025, a number that is already, as you watch this, playing out in real time. And this is the part where most people stop listening, where the number becomes too big to feel personal, where the scale of the disruption actually serves as a kind of anesthetic and so massive that the mind retreats into the comfortable assumption that something so large surely cannot happen to me specifically. in my specific life, but it is happening. It is happening specifically. It is happening to paralegals in Chicago and radiologists in London and truck drivers in Texas and customer service representatives in Manila and junior accountants in Sydney and junior writers in New York. It is happening. To the person watching this, right? Now, the struggle is not the disruption itself. The disruption is real and it is enormous, but it is also, in a strange and difficult way, neutral. Technology has always disrupted. The printing press disrupted. The steam engine disrupted. The internet disrupted, and humanity adapted, and life in most measures improved. The struggle is the gap, the terrifying, expensive, personally devastating gap between the world that is ending and the world that is beginning, the gap between the skills that were valuable yesterday and the skills that will be valuable tomorrow. Elon Musk is not in denial. He has never been in denial about anything that the data clearly shows. And the data clearly shows that the gap is closing faster than almost anyone in power is prepared to publicly acknowledge. Here is what Musk said that changes everything about how you should be thinking right now. He said that in a world where AI can do everything, the challenge will not be economic. It will be existential. The question will not be, how do I survive? The question will be, what is the meaning of my life if my labor is no longer needed? Read that again. Sit with it. What is the meaning of my life if my labor is no longer needed? For thousands of years, human civilization has organized itself around the equation of work and worth. You work, therefore you matter. You contribute, therefore you belong. You earn, therefore you have value. This equation is so deeply embedded in our psychology, our social structures, our relationships, our self-concept, that most of us have never questioned whether it is the only equation available. What if it is not? What if the disruption of AI, the most uncomfortable, threatening, destabilizing force most of us will ever experience in our professional lives, is also, paradoxically, the greatest invitation in human history to ask what we actually are beneath the work we do? Musk has spoken about the potential of a universal basic income, not as a political position, but as a practical inevitability. He has spoken about the possibility that AI-generated abundance will make the scarcity that drives most human anxiety fundamentally obsolete. He has spoken about a future where human beings are freed from the compulsion of labor and invited, for the first time in history, to choose what they do with their time based on what genuinely matters to them. This is the turning point, not just in the external world, in you. The turning point is the moment you stop asking, how do I protect my job from AI, and start asking, who am I when the job is no longer the definition of my value? Because that question, that terrifying, liberating, profoundly human question, is where the future actually lives. The first lesson: the people who thrive will be those who build on top of the wave, not in front of it. There's a surfing principle that applies here with almost perfect precision. The surfer who fights the wave is always destroyed by it. The surfer who learns to read the wave, time the wave, position themselves correctly, and then commit, that surfer uses the exact same energy that destroys everyone else to travel faster than they ever could under their own power. AI is the wave. It is enormous. It is accelerating. It is not slowing down, and it is not going around you. Your only real options are to fight it, which is a losing battle, or to learn to move with it. The people who are already winning in this transition are not the ones who refuse to engage with AI out of fear or principle, who use it as a force multiplier for their own uniquely human capabilities, who position themselves not as workers who do tasks, but as thinkers who direct systems, not as executors but as architects. Sarah, the paralegal sitting in her driveway, went back. She spent 6 months learning AI legal tools with a depth that made her more valuable than she had ever been when she was doing the research manually. She became the person who could tell the AI what to look for, evaluate what it found, and translate its output into human judgment that clients could trust. She is not back doing what she did before. She is doing something better, something that the machine cannot do alone, and she is doing it for more money than she made before the disruption. The wave did not destroy her. She learned to surf. The second lesson: your most valuable asset is no longer what you know, it is how you think. In the industrial economy, knowledge was a moat. If you knew how to do something that most people could not do, that knowledge was valuable and relatively stable, and you could build a career on it for decades. In the AI economy, knowledge is a commodity. Ask any AI tool a question and it will give you knowledge in seconds that would have taken a research team weeks to compile a generation ago. The value of raw knowledge and of information, storage and retrieval and pattern recognition, is collapsing in real time. What AI cannot replicate, not yet, perhaps not ever in the dimensions that matter most, is the quality of human thinking that generates the questions worth asking, the judgment that decides which answer to act on, the wisdom that understands the difference between what is technically correct and what is actually true in the full, human, contextual, emotionally intelligent sense of the word. Critical thinking, systems thinking, ethical reasoning, creative synthesis, the ability to hold two contradictory ideas in your mind simultaneously and find the third truth that resolves them. These are the skills of the future, not because they are new, because they are ancient, because they are the most irreducibly human things we do, and their value is not declining. In the age of AI, it is skyrocketing precisely because everything else is becoming automated. Invest in how you think, not just what you know. The thinkers are not being replaced. They are being amplified. The third lesson: identity must be decoupled from occupation before the occupation disappears. This is the lesson that most career advice will never give you because it is not comfortable and it does not fit on a resume. If your entire sense of who you are is built on what you do for money, if your self-worth is indistinguishable from your job title, then the disappearance of that job title will not just disrupt your career, it will disrupt you. At the level of identity, at the level of meaning, at the level of why you get out of bed in the morning. Musk has spoken about this obliquely but consistently. In his vision of the future, the question of meaning becomes the central human challenge. Not survival, not scarcity, meaning what do you do with your existence when existence no longer requires you to trade your time for survival? Most people have no answer to this question because they have never been forced to ask it, because the job always filled the space where the answer would need to live. Start asking it now, not when the disruption takes your specific role. Now, while you have the luxury of time and stability to explore the answer without desperation. Who are you beneath your job title? What would you pour yourself into if the paycheck were guaranteed? What problems genuinely break your heart and make you want to fix them? What communities do you want to build? What beauty do you want to make? What knowledge do you want to pass forward? These are not retirement questions. In the age of AI, these are survival questions, because the people who know who they are beneath their occupation will navigate the disappearance of work with grace. The people who do not will be lost in a way that no retraining program or government policy can address. The fourth lesson: connection is the only economy that AI cannot automate. Here is a truth that cuts through every piece of career advice you will ever read. At the end of every transaction, every service, every product, every professional relationship, there is a human being. And human beings do not ultimately make decisions based on efficiency. They make decisions based on trust, and trust is built through connection. And connection is irreducibly, stubbornly, beautifully human. The doctor who touches your shoulder when they deliver difficult news. The teacher who sees the specific individual child behind the behavior. The leader who walks into a room of frightened people and becomes the calm in the center of the storm. The creator who makes something that reaches through a screen and makes you feel genuinely less alone in the world. AI can simulate these things, increasingly convincingly, but simulation and the real thing are not the same. And human beings, even as they become more surrounded by AI, are becoming more hungry for the real thing, not less, more desperate for genuine connection, genuine presence, genuine humanity in a world that is rapidly becoming curated and optimized and artificially intelligent in every direction they turn. Invest in your ability to connect, to lead, to inspire, to make people feel genuinely seen, because in the age of artificial intelligence, authentic human connection is not soft skill. It is the hardest, most valuable, most irreplaceable currency in existence. I want to tell you about a conversation that reportedly took place between Elon Musk and a group of young engineers at one of his companies. Not to industries, to people, to ordinary human beings who have built their lives around their work and are about to watch that work become obsolete. And, by all accounts, he was quiet for a moment, genuinely quiet, the way someone is quiet when the question has reached somewhere real, and then he said yes. Yes, the man who is building the AI, the man who has said it will eventually be able to do everything, the man who has perhaps done more than any single individual to accelerate the pace of this transition, he said yes. He is afraid, not of the technology, of the human cost, of the meaning crisis that is coming for a civilization that built its entire psychology around the dignity of labor and is about to have that dignity challenged at its foundation. That fear is not weakness. That fear is wisdom. That fear is the correct response to the scale of what is happening. And it belongs to all of us, and not as paralysis, but as motivation, as the thing that gets you off the couch and into the question, what do I do now while there is still time to prepare? Because here is what I want you to carry out of this video. Not fear, not the paralyzing, action-crushing, scroll past and forget about it kind of fear that the scale of this disruption can easily produce. I want you to carry urgency, the specific, clarifying, life-organizing urgency of a person who understands that the window to prepare is open right now and will not stay open indefinitely. Sarah sat in her driveway for 40 minutes, and then she went inside, and then she started over, and she is better now than she was before. Not because the disruption was easy, but because she refused to let it be the last chapter. You do not have to wait for the driveway. You can start now. From a place of choice rather than necessity. From a place of preparation rather than survival. From a place of genuine, wide-eyed, honest engagement with the reality that is coming rather than the comfortable denial that feels safer today and costs everything tomorrow. The work may disappear, but you do not have to disappear with it. Here is what readiness looks like, concretely, practically, starting this week. Readiness looks like spending 2 hours genuinely learning the AI tools most relevant to your industry, not to be impressed by them, not to be threatened by them, but to understand them well enough to direct them rather than be replaced by them. Readiness looks like sitting with the uncomfortable question of who you are beneath your job title and beginning it slowly, imperfectly, but genuinely, to build an identity that is rooted in your values, your relationships, your creativity, and your contribution rather than your employment status. Readiness looks like investing in the skills that compound in a world of AI, critical thinking, human connection, ethical judgment, creative synthesis, the ability to ask better questions than a machine can ask, because you have lived a human life with all the weight and beauty and sorrow and complexity that entails. Readiness looks like having this conversation with the people around you, with your partner, with your children, with your colleagues, not with panic, with the calm, practical honesty of people who have looked at what is coming and decided to face it together rather than pretend it is not arriving. Elon Musk is not panicking. He is preparing. Every company he builds, every technology he develops, every public statement he makes about the future is in some way a form of preparation, his own, and an invitation for the rest of us to take it seriously. Take it seriously. Not because the future is terrifying, but because the future, the actual, full, human, abundant, meaningful future that waits on the other side of this disruption, is extraordinary. It is a world where human beings are no longer compelled by survival to spend the majority of their waking hours doing things that machines could do better. A world where creativity and connection and meaning and contribution are not the luxury of the privileged few but the birthright of everyone. That world is worth preparing for. That world is worth being ready for. But you have to be ready. You have to start now. You have to look at what is coming with clear eyes and a steady heart and the willingness to ask hard questions. While there is still time to let the answers change your direction, the work will disappear. What you become in its place, that is the question of your lifetime. Answer it now, while the choice is still yours to make. The wave is coming. It is already here. And the most important decision of your professional life is not which job you take next. It is whether you learn to surf. If this video reached you, truly reached you, share it with someone who needs to hear it before the wave arrives. Subscribe for more honest conversations about the world being built right now. And tell me in the comments, what is the one thing you are doing right now to prepare for the future of work?